Fellas, AC here. Welcome to our first collaboration. Mr. Smelly is in the house, and it's very kind of him. I requested him to be in one of my videos, and what we want to do today is talk about a lot of stuff, but primarily it's all about Mr. Smelly's top 5 modern masculine fragrances. He's known for his exquisite taste, and I thought, what better way to invite this gentleman over to my channel and discuss his most favorite modern masculine fragrances. So, Mr. Smelly, welcome to the channel.
Hello, AC. Great pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure to have you, my friend. But before we get into the video, I'd like to talk to you about one of the things that has always been in my mind, and that is you've created this brand of yours, which is going beautifully. 2 brilliant releases. So would you like to take us through the journey of how you started it, how to start a fragrance brand? I know some aspects are easy because you are a YouTuber with huge fan following and a lot of respect, but what actually goes into creating a fragrance brand? Just a little bit for our viewers, both our viewers. Over to you, sir.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. So, okay. We've got 2 fragrances now, and there they are. So you got the first one was Gravitas Pour Homme, that one, and then the new one, of course, is Bon Viveur. And yeah, thanks for your kind words. So yeah, okay. So creating a fragrance brand, of course, is quite a difficult thing to do, and my experience would be very different from most other people who would do it, because I did it with the platform of already having a YouTube channel. So that is a huge advantage to me. So I can't imagine how difficult it must be if somebody is maybe they're just a fragrance enthusiast or whatever, maybe they're a perfumer or whatever, and they start, but they don't have any big following on social media. So that must be very, very difficult. So a different thing for them, right? But I'll just quickly explain how we did it. So we are very much, in my opinion, and this is our, an important point to make. I don't really ultimately want this to be a YouTuber fragrance brand in inverted commas. I would hope that we will just eventually be seen as a good, respected, small niche fragrance house. We'd like to be, like Penhaligon's or Florists or whatever, a long way to go, of course. So although I've used my YouTube thing, I hope that we can be taken seriously as a proper fragrance brand. That's the goal. So that's what we're hoping to do. However, of course, I used my position on YouTube to do this. So basically what we did, of course, with the first fragrance, I floated the idea that I was going to release a fragrance, and we got it. We did a Kickstarter campaign. So Kickstarter, of course, is very useful because it's basically a pre-order thing where people give you the money and invest a bit of faith in you before you do the project. So what it allows you to do is you don't have to invest your own capital in the project. It's paid for by the customers before you've actually made the product. So that now, of course, if I'd done that and I wasn't on YouTube, it would be very hard to raise more than £2.50, because who's going to pay for that? So luckily, lots of people who watch my channel thought that I would probably do a great fragrance if I did something. So I was very fortunate, and thank you to everyone who supported us. So the Kickstarter campaign got us the money to fund the fragrance. That's great, because I would not fancy, I really feel for people who invest their life savings, and buy it and take a risk. So we didn't have to do that. We had the money. So Kickstarter, a really good modern idea, fantastic. And then while that was going on, then of course you've got to do a number of things. One of them is to get the fragrance, of course, the actual smell, and from a perfumer. That's the most difficult thing. Yes. But luckily we had a slight connection that my business partner, Mr. Wilson, knew John Stephen and had studied on his courses and that kind of thing. So maybe he was somewhat of a mentor, if you like, to my business partner in the fragrance world. And so he had that connection. And I'm not sure, maybe other people could also find the right perfumer and pay them the money too. But that was a great start. And it just so happened that we were very lucky that he was really the perfect person to get to do the fragrance because he's got 50 years experience in the industry, appreciates the classic type of fragrances, although he makes some very exotic ones now for Bodicea, the Victorious, but he'd done Check and Speaks, Oxford and Cambridge, and the famous number 88. So real classics from the 80s and 90s. And so he was just a perfect person. So it was actually quite simple that we just gave him the brief for what we would like, a description, talked to him. We met him once, and there was a bit of back and forth, but that it was quite simple because we had such a good perfumer that he really understood the brief and made the perfume. And it was the same thing the second time. So that part, in all honesty, perhaps we were very lucky because we have a really good perfumer who just gets what we want. It could almost be said that was getting the good smell, which we were lucky enough to do, was almost the easiest part. It's the practical logistic stuff that's the difficult thing. But you wanted to say something, sorry.
I wanted to ask you a question here. So you've explained beautifully the vision that you had, right?
Yeah.
The vision was that you didn't want to be just one-off YouTube fragrance. You want to create a niche fragrance house. Sky's the limit. That's a great vision to have, very clear vision. Next, you followed up with, obviously, there's a little bit of provenance, a bit of luck here, but I want to get to how you created in your mind that this is what I want in terms of smell. Gravitas is basically a fragrance which is very similar to your taste. So how do you construct it in your head when you spoke to Mr. John Stevens by saying, this is what I want?
Okay, that was not too difficult because we basically boiled it down to I'm not sure I have it, but a written brief of this is roughly what we'd like. So I just thought of all my favorite fragrances. What do I like? And, I can't remember the exact wording, but we just said something along the lines. We would like a classic gentlemanly fougere style fragrance because I like things like maybe Creed's Bois de Portugal, maybe Fougère Royale by Hubigant, etc., etc. We didn't mention those in the brief, but we would like a classic gentlemanly English, well, not English, a Fougère style fragrance with a classic feel. Obviously some of the notes, bergamot, everyone has that in the fragrances, but let's have some of that in there. A citrusy opening, of course, lavender. I don't think tonka bean's a listed note, but that's a kind of, it has to be in I think there is coumarin or tonka in the formula, and some oak moss, that kind of thing. So we just listed some of the obvious things that would have to be in there. And then I think one of the stipulations that I'm really glad that we put in was we would perhaps like a twist of vanilla just to give it a bit of sweetness. And I think my thoughts were influenced a bit by things like Invasion Barbar by MDCI, which is it still has that classic barbershop feel, whatever that means, but that slightly semi-oriental undertone of a little twist of sweetness, because I wanted it to be in that vein, rather than something that smelled like, it's from 1978 or whatever, literally, although I do like those too. So I wanted to make it in that vein because I thought that would appeal to a broader number of people. So that was it really, just a classic gentleman. I've got to be honest, what you can say as much as you want and write a very clear stipulation, but it's the perfumer who creates a lot of the magic. If you can commission a great painting or something, and ask for this and that and the other, but it's only once the guy actually does it, or whoever's doing it, that you'll know exactly how it's going to look. So
but you created a broad framework for
I think it's like you create a draft or an outline in like a draftsman drawing something, and then he probably is the painter who goes and puts all the colors in and that. So but we talked back and forth. But he was so well versed in fragrance that I think he looked at the brief, and I remember when we met him, he was very much, I can definitely do that. That sounds great. He wasn't sort of saying, that's going to be tricky, or you can't mix that. And he was like, I can definitely do you one of those. So it was really, really a pleasurable and natural process to do it. I think,
Fantastic. So now let's talk about the challenges you faced, because logistics part is the biggest challenge. Plus, you went straight away international. You went to the United States market as well, right?
Yeah. That stuff is perhaps the most difficult thing for me, because obviously we'd like to have more customers, but I already had some people interested in buying it, so I was very lucky there. But yeah, it's the difficult thing, of course. A large proportion of my viewers are in America, so you have that is the biggest market. So you've got to go there really, if you possibly can, and Europe too. But we've had big problems with that at the moment because of. But yeah, so that's really difficult, because fragrance is seen as a dangerous good because it's alcohol, and you might as well be exporting bazookas or rocket launchers. They don't like it. So there's all kinds of stipulations, and the sender has to have a qualification or certificate, because John Stephen actually produces it and ships the one out to America and all that kind of thing. So it's not fascinating to go into the details, but basically the logistics. Also, we get we sourced all the bottles in, and the lids came from a different place, and the label. So getting that stuff in, the boxes are from within the UK. Other bits of the bottle come from elsewhere in the world. Sometimes they have to spend weeks on a container ship. There's COVID going on, all of that kind of stuff, and then getting it out to America. We can't just send one bottle to a customer from the UK, it would cost £70 or something, postage and fees. So it has to be shipped out in bulk, and then somebody in the States that we collaborate with then sends it to the customer. So that stuff is a headache when you're not a big company set up to do it. So it's all that kind of stuff that's a real headache, and the practicalities of it when you're not a big organization are the sort of the thing that is difficult so far. But the actual the creative stuff and talking to my viewers and getting the people interested, that's been great fun and no problem. But the back end, doing perfume is difficult, because it's I don't know if it's even worse in the UK, because we're not allowed to post stuff. I don't know if you've ever tried to send a friend a perfume in France or sell one on eBay. It's a real headache. So yeah, it's just the boring bureaucracy that is really the sticking point.
Yes, and just to give our viewers an idea, you could send somebody a full bottle of scotch anywhere in mainland Europe. Try sending a bottle of fragrance.
Yeah, it's crazy, really. I guess that's
unbelievable. But you can climb so many mountains, and it's just amazing how much of a resolve is needed. And Matt Wilson as well. I mean, both of you have worked tirelessly to get this brand going. And I just wanted to give our viewers a little bit of idea what is involved in creating a fragrance brand. So thanks for that. I think there are a lot of input there. There's a lot of factual data here for people who would be interested in doing that. So thank you very much. I mean,
it's great. Oh, thank you. It's really, really. But of course, if you don't have that great fortune of the following and the platform, then you've got a lot more other headaches, because I mean, there's so many new brands now, and that's great that we have all this choice. But why should anyone be interested in, if you're just John Smith and no one's heard of you? How on earth do you get people to be interested and buy it? It must be very, very difficult. So I'm very lucky to have had the boost. So thank you to everyone who's put faith in me.
Indeed, and so many people helped you with your Kickstarter campaign. So that was very gracious and warm of people as well, didn't it?
Yeah, I was really grateful for that. I think it's nice for me, and I'm lucky that because I carved out a thing for myself as someone who perhaps is known for liking a certain type of thing. I don't, I just not, you can say, oh, he's into this kind of fragrance a bit with me. So people felt kind of confidence that if he does what I know, it will be that I've bought stuff that he's recommended before and I think I'll like it. So I didn't do this deliberately, but it was good that I carved out a niche as the guy who slightly likes classic smells, because you sort of knew what you'd get, So that was good. Yeah.
Brilliant. I mean, it's a great story, and I really wish and hope that it goes from strength to strength. You've got two. Third one, I think, would come soon. You've got a lot of people who are very affectionate of you, support you and respect you. So good things coming your way, my friend.
I hope so. Yeah. So the first one, obviously, a fougere. The new one is a citrus aromatic stroke chypre. And so it's kind of the difficult. Those are kind of no-brainers because I love the fougères and I love citrusy type classic smells too. But the difficult third album is less obvious now. You've got to do something a bit different. But so that is, I've done the 2 easy free hits, and now we have to get the third one right. So hopefully we can do it.
I'm very confident you will, and best wishes to you.
Thank you.
So now let's get into our business end of our video. So what I wanted to do is, because you've got such a wonderful nose and because you've helped so many people over the years, I just wanted to get 5 fragrances from you which are modern and masculine in tone, because there's a huge market from my channel as well. I've realized people really have a lot of affinity towards fragrances that are very clearly defined, not necessarily unisex, but clearly defined masculine scents and modern. So what would you pick and why?
All right. Well, it was, quite easy to pick some good ones actually, because I love the old school smells and things from yesteryear. But there are really some good ones out there if you know where to look, guys. So I've got 5 really good ones. No, I'm not going to do it in chronological order, but they're all from at least within the last 10 years. And so let's go. Okay, so I've kicked off with this one. I think that Valentino Uomo is a really, really outstandingly good fragrance, and one that I sometimes leave on the shelf for months and then spray a little bit and remember how I first. I'll spray one. I won't spray them all, but I'll just do a quick spray.
It's a top-notch choice. Absolutely, totally agree.
Do you like it? Yeah,
I love it. I absolutely love it. It's a very, very good starter masculine. Please go for it.
It's I have to get the right Polge. It's Olivier Polge, isn't it? The man who also did Dior Homme, and he sort of made a cover version of his own fragrance in a way after it was reformulated by Dior. But it's got much more to it than that. It definitely does have that Dior Homme-esque iris thing, although I don't think iris is an official note. There's a semi-gourmandish twist about this fragrance. So you've got a sort of waxy lipstick iris. It's quite metrosexual in inverted commas. So you actually asked for masculine fragrances, but it's probably called. It's a very unisex fragrance actually, but it is called uomo, which means man, guys, in Italian. And it's got a hazelnut or something called Gianduja cream, which I think is a fancy Italian version of Nutella, really, as the fragrance note. And I tell you, I try to avoid eating it because it's very bad for you, but I do love Nutella. I mean, I could eat Nutella on toast. I could live on that, so it's delicious. But it's got this subtle gourmand twist, but it's also got bergamot and freshness. I'm not really familiar with the isolated note of myrtle, but that's a little herb that's been used in there. And everything it's really sophisticated. It has that kind of Italian chic, and yet it's got a kind of slightly in touch with your feminine side type of lipstick feel, and a hint of gourmandish sweetness, and it's just so delicate, so beautiful. It manages to be semi-gourmandish, which I would find some gourmands fragrances a little bit tacky or vulgar, but this one still has a very refined, elegant feel. So it's a really, really good fragrance. You can. Someone said it might be discontinued, but it seems easy to buy online at the moment. So perhaps, hopefully, it's not. Superb, and a really, really just a delightful modern release. I think it was about 2014 or something like that, and highly recommended, guys. Yeah, superb stuff.
I think it's a great starter fragrance for youngsters who are looking for something which is slightly on the masculine side, and yet, as you said, Italian chic style to it. Also, slightly unisex, so it wouldn't offend anybody if you're going to a gathering. So very, very good pick. I'm a big fan of that fragrance. I haven't reviewed it yet, but I will.
Good, glad to hear it. Yeah, I must say it doesn't actually. It's not terribly strong. So if you're looking for something really potent, this may be disappointing. But I think it'd be a great scent with your significant other when they come close. They'll get a very nice aroma. So yeah,
fantastic pick.
Do you want another one?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, let's see what we've got next then. I want to go for Givenchy. House that I have a real affection for as a big lover of their vintage, some of their vintage classics like Xerius and Monsieur de Givenchy, Givenchy Gentleman. However, I must say I'm rather taken with Gentleman Givenchy Cologne. So about 2017, they suddenly released Gentleman Givenchy and confused everybody because they already had Givenchy Gentleman from 1974. So they did kind of what Dior did with Sauvage and Eau Sauvage, with kind of using the traction of that name, but releasing a new product, which is, I get it. That's marketing, isn't it? Anyhow, I wasn't overly taken with the original Gentleman Givenchy Eau de Toilette. It was so-so. There's a parfum, which actually is quite nice, or Eau de Parfum, which again has a bit of an iris thing. But I really love this one. Quite a recent release, and it's the Cologne version, and it's a really fresh, delightful, beautiful fragrance. It's got really nice, fresh, zesty citrus, bergamot, a lot of the obvious sort of things. And it's just got this very, very, I didn't think about this, but funnily enough, it's again an iris. I think there's this twist of an iris note, which gives it this very, just right running through the middle, not giving in a sort of waxy mum's lipstick types thing that you do get in a nice way in Valentino Uomo and Dior Homme, but it gives it this very kind of clean, iris floral tone that I've appreciated in a few other fragrances recently, and it just melds perfectly with the citrus. And I think we had a tiny, we had things like Dior Homme Cologne and things, but they didn't really have the iris. They just went kind of fizzy lemonade. But this captures that beautiful iris note with citrus and some other floral tones, crisp woods. It's again a very refined, everyday kind of wear to work scent. Wearing a suit, equally great in a polo shirt or whatever. We've got some warm weather here, perfect for today. Really, really brilliant, elegant scent, and very much modern smelling. It doesn't smell classic or dated particularly, but I love it. And a nice, simple but really well made, heavy bottle. Love it.
I think yes, indeed. I've reviewed this one. I think it has got the iris vetiver combination. I think, if my memory serves me correct.
Yeah.
As as you were mentioning, there's this iris is not mom's lipstick style, and I've seen that when iris is combined with vetiver, it creates a little chalky, slightly sweet, very slightly sweet green impression, which is very apt for any occasion. It's very friendly, very amicable, and at the same time, because it's got the little warmth of iris, it creates a very, very amicable conversation icebreaker. I wouldn't say icebreaker, but conversation starter. Very nice fragrance. I really like your pick, and I think the weather has played a huge part in your pick as well.
Definitely. Yeah, we've got. I don't know about you, but we've got one of the first properly quite warm days for a while. We've had a spring in England's been abysmal this year. Yeah, but I've just been in the garden sunbathing for the first time in a while, and this fits perfectly. So great freshie. Again, if you're looking for a real strong, potent scent, you might be a little disappointed again with this one. But I always say I'm very much a little bored with people who overly complain about fragrances that they don't find perform that well. So I'm really, and I used to be kind of into like beast mode top 10 videos, but I'm very much looking, if it smells great, just buy it and use it a lot. Take the bottle with you, get a decant sprayer, spray more, and you will be smelled. So there you go.
I fully agree. If a fragrance is good, if it smells nice, I don't mind having it in my collection because I don't always want to radiate. Sometimes I really want something something close to me. For example, interviews. White collar jobs. You're sitting in a room, small room, having a meeting with two people. You don't want to really suffocate them. So there's a place for these. And they're so elegant. It's so elegant. I mean, this cologne that you showed is super elegant. I reviewed it last year. Loved it, but I haven't got a full bottle.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's one of my. I don't buy tons of new releases. I don't buy everything that comes out, but so it has to be really good. And this one was one of the few in recent couple of years that have been worth it for me. And I agree with you. Yeah, there's a lot of situations like work and stuff. Or meetings where, frankly, if someone walked in and this fragrance hit you really strongly, I don't know if it would be that. I'm a frag head, so maybe I wouldn't mind, but it could put you off the person quite a lot, even if it was a good smell in a way. It'd be like, a bit garish. So yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you an analogy. It's like a person who is talking on the phone but screaming and sitting right next to you in the train
Yeah,
or on the
yeah,
plane. In the
yeah.
plane, you couldn't speak, but on the train, sometimes I take the very early morning train, and sometimes, there's a guy 6 o'clock in the morning, absolutely blaring it down. So a
Yeah.
fragrance which projects a lot is exactly like that. You're invading my personal space, so that
I
you have to
think,
really be
yeah, I
mindful.
do. Yeah, I think in situations where you're around a lot of people who have very little choice but to be in a room with you for quite a while, then yeah, you probably want to calm it down. If you're going for a night out and stuff, then go nuts. What the hell? But yeah.
Absolutely. Over to your next one, sir.
Right. Next up, I kind of thought maybe we'd go towards more designer choices, but I wanted to do one niche one. So I've
Sure.
gone for this one, and this is Hubigant Cologne Intense. And this is
Oh,
really, really, really great. So their more famous one in this style of bottle is probably Fougère Royale. So I think it's
yes.
around about 2015 they released Cologne Intense. I think it was Luca Maffei, the perfumer. Unless
Yes.
I'm mistaken, he also did Neroli Portofino for Tom
Really?
Ford. I could be wrong, but anyway.
Hmm.
This is the idea supposedly is that they've reimagined a classic citrus eau de cologne. So one may think of 4711 or one may think of Farina eau de cologne from the 18th century, but it doesn't really smell massively. So they've done a lot more with this than that. It always reminds me a little bit of Dior's original Eau Sauvage in
Right.
its aura, but there's still more to it than that. So again, lots of beautiful citruses, lemon, bergamot. I think there's a little bit of jasmine in here. There's patchouli in the base. There's this twist of mate tea, which again, frankly, I must admit, I've a lot of things I'll say. Oh, yes, there's this note, and I've never smelt mate tea, so I can't tell you. I don't have bags of myrtle to go and sniff in my cupboard, so I
Yes.
don't really know. But it's a beautiful kind of citrusy, elegant fragrance, but it's got quite a little bit of complexity, a sort of airy feel, delightful floral tones, something of a retro classic feel, but there is this nice depth with some usual kind of woody tones. I think it might be vetiver. There's a note of tarragon, which is a nice
Oh,
herb, but it always makes
okay.
me think of, unfortunately, it makes me think of chicken because it's quite often used to flavored chicken.
And
So,
fish.
yeah, but I can't really detach it on its own very easily. But I do like these
Right.
kind of green aromatic herbal tones in here. And
I
it's just
see.
really, again, classy, elegant, sort of European style perfumery at its absolute best. And yeah, I think a really, really great choice. It could be a great signature scent. However, I notice a lot of people when I mention it say they get a strange note that they don't like in it. And I've never got that at all. But you might want to sample this. A lot of people have it. It's some kind of honeyish thing that they think is a bit funky or what's the word? A bit animalic or something they don't like. So I
It's
never pick up
very,
on that, but there you go.
I sampled it. It's very weird. So I was
Mm.
very surprised when you picked this, but
Oh, right.
you know, I I have tried it in winter, I believe. So I
Yeah.
want to try it again. But yeah, to be honest with you, I wasn't very impressed with this. I've got a sample, official sample,
Yeah.
and I didn't enjoy it. And there was something weird about it. So it could be.
Everyone keeps saying this. Yeah.
I thought to myself, okay, it's probably not for me. I sample hundreds of fragrances in a month,
Yeah.
and sometimes you come across a fragrance which doesn't appeal to you. I try it again, so I might try it again this summer because you're mentioning it. That means it must be good. So first time I wasn't impressed.
Fair enough. No, it's all about personal choice. That there's no right or
Absolutely.
wrong. You can't be wrong. I always say you can't really be wrong about a fragrance. It's a matter of opinion. Some
Yeah.
people like pineapple on a pizza. Some people think that's total anathema. So it's personal. Well, how do you feel? What do you think? Pineapple on a pizza, okay or not on?
I'm okay. Food is a very personal thing. I mean, if people like pineapple on a pizza, I let them be.
Yeah.
Would I have it? No.
I'm the same. I wouldn't pick it, but
Yes.
if someone served up a pizza with it on, No problem. No
No
problem.
problem. Same with the scent. Sometimes I don't like something, but I'm honest about it, because as a reviewer, you have to be really honest by saying, look, I don't think I like this one. So, sample it, because, you might like it, as you said. But I'm going to give it a second chance, because you said this, you brought this together to this video. That means it's quite nice. I'll try it again.
Yeah, I really think it's excellent, and also reasonably, or it certainly used to be reasonably well priced for niche. So yeah.
Yes, they are very well priced. Is it true that Roger has worked on this one as well? Because he worked on the other one. I can't remember. Fougere Royale. He worked
did
on
he?
that one.
I
Yes.
didn't hear. I didn't know that, and I hadn't heard anything about him being involved in this one. So
Right.
I would assume not. Perhaps by the time they were doing this, he was very much deep into his own brand, I think. But I didn't know that about Fougere Royale. That's interesting.
So the thing is, Fougere Royale, the current incarnation, was resurrected. Yeah.
Yes.
So when it was resurrected, Roger got involved with the project, and he created. In my review, I think I mentioned, because I really like Fougere Royale. I like Fougere's as well, as you know. So he played a huge part in Fougere Royale. And Fougere Royale is a fantastic fragrance. But I promise you, I'll try this again, because I've got an official sample of this, because let's learn something new. You learn something new all the time. There are many fragrances that I didn't like first. And then when I tried it again, my nose probably matured. I appreciated it a bit more. It was good fun. Anyways, let's go to your fourth choice.
Right, number 4 is going to be Rochas. L'Homme Rochas.
I haven't tried that one.
You have, or you haven't?
No, I haven't. I should.
I think it's really, really good stuff. It's a 2020 release. It came out just before the whole lockdown thing, and it was Chris from Scentland did a really nice video on it where he was stood in front of the Eiffel Tower, which was rather nice. And it's the perfumer is Bruno Jovanovic, who I think has a bit of a good reputation, and it's really a great masculine, all-round kind of fragrance. It was, I think, slightly unfairly described as perhaps a so-called blue fragrance, which I find this label very annoying. And people said that it's their version of Dior Sauvage or Bleu de Chanel, because a lot of fragrances have been out in recent years that have maybe a blue color bottle and sort of a fresh, woody, maybe slightly synthetic overall vibe that is obviously on trend and people like. But I don't think I think that's it's a bad way to describe this one. I don't think it's much to do with those, but again, it's got lovely citrus notes. I'm sure I pick up on some lavender, but it's not a listed note. But it's got a little twist of incense and some of your standard kind of woody notes. But it's fresh, it's masculine. It certainly doesn't have this vein of Dior Sauvage-esque ambroxan or anything like that. It doesn't have any of that stuff, which I find a bit tiresome. It doesn't have that sort of modern shower gel-esque vibe or anything like that. It's got subtle, delicate combination of a little bit of sweetness, a hint of a wisp of incense in the air, and a very sort of airy, not oppressive kind of amouage-esque heavy incense, but just a light twist of that added to these very nice, delicate citrus notes, floral tones, and definitely an overall not musky. So it feels masculine. I think masculine woods. I feel there's a masculine woody undertone. Perhaps I think there's probably some vetiver in the base, and really very, very pleasant kind of any day reacher. Bit more heavyweight though than things like the cologne. This would be a bit more of an all year round scent. So I think L'Homme Rochas is a great modern release.
Suitable for youngsters?
I think so.
Okay.
I will say that it probably would be more popular with people from 25, 30 upwards than real youngsters. So yeah, I always say, if you're a young guy and you want to smell grown up, go for it. But yeah, it has a mature vibe. It's more of a 30 upwards vibe to me when I smell this one. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Brilliant.
Actually, it's funny you should say that, because I was in the Subway, the sandwich shop the other day, and there's a very friendly, chatty guy, and he smelled. I was wearing Boucheron Pour Homme, the 1991 release, and
Yes.
he'd mentioned my fragrance the other day, and he'd found out that I was into fragrances, so he was kind of checking out what I would wear the next day, and he said this one was very much. He kind of said it smelled kind of soapy and very, very much what he would expect. And he was like, no offense, he's Canadian, no offense, but something I would expect like my granddad to wear or something. He liked it, but he definitely felt it had an older vibe. So, you know, he's in his 20s, I think. So I think, definitely there are some fragrances that definitely for the younger generation, they do think, oh, you smell grown up. This one is not as much like that as Boucheron Pour Homme, but it's something to look out for if you are a younger person hoping to attract your contemporaries or impress them. Watch out.
Yeah, the thing is, one thing I've noticed with the youngsters, and I'm sure you've noticed that as well, in speaking to them, is they tend to go for fragrances that their friends are going for. They tend to be less of a risk taker in bucking the trend. I've seen this a lot. For example, I was chatting to a guy and he was showing me fragrances and on his Instagram.
Right.
And he was talking to me about blue scent after blue scent after blue scent, metallic blue scents. I asked him, I said, have you tried Dior? He said, oh, it's too old school.
Right.
Really? So Dior 2020 is pretty acceptable for a 20-year-old. But people have this, 20-year-olds have this, I think, in my view, the sort of a resistance towards trying something which is outside what their group is wearing. I've seen this many times. They're less of a risk taker, I think.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely. Yeah, you're right there. They don't want to seem weird or out of place. I mean, that's a big. It's normal, isn't it? When you're a kid or whatever, you want the latest trainers that everyone else is wearing or whatever it is. And definitely into your teens and maybe even into your early 20s. I think there'd be exceptions to that, but I think it's definitely social pressure to fit in, and they kind of dress the same or they listen to the same music and stuff.
Yes.
And I don't miss being that age in that way. I'd like to be young in a way, but I feel happy that I've carved out my very much. I do this, and I like to dress like this, and I don't care what anyone thinks. But when you're that age, often it's not that way. So I get it. It wouldn't be, even if they secretly loved Boucheron Pour Homme, I guess who would really want to be a 24 or 20? No, let's say 19-year-old, and they turn up for the night out with their friends and some girls are there. And everyone goes, oh, you smell like my granddad or my uncle, man. It would be. I get it. I can understand it. It's not easy to be. It's not easy to be young, and I wouldn't. In some ways, I wouldn't want to have to go through it again.
Oh, some of the things were challenging. Yes, you're right.
Yeah. You get a little bit more of a self-assurance, hope if you're lucky, as you get older. And now,
if you're lucky, I like that.
Well, you don't always, but I definitely, I don't give a stuff if people think I smell like I'm 65 or 70 now. And or if I met a girl or whatever, I'd be, not that I'm looking to, but if I did, I would be much more just be yourself. Whereas if I was 21 or whatever, might be thinking, oh, what should I do to make her like me or fit in with her? Or now I would be, well, this is me. You probably won't like it, but I can't pretend to be anything else. But that only comes with many years of painful experience.
Confidence, right? You have to have confidence in yourself. It's about you. It's not about fitting into that girl's requirements. It's about you. And this is what people get wrong, right? And they still get wrong at 60.
True.
It's about you.
Yeah. You can't really, I mean, this applies to everything in life, but we're talking about fragrances. So with the point we're trying to make, I guess, is wear the fragrance where, as Lania Smith says, wear what you like, not what they say you should like or love or like, which is a great slogan. But it applies to life really most of the time. If obviously you have to make compromises in a relationship or whatever, but if you're really trying to hammer a square peg into a round hole, or you're in a position where you've got to massively change your actual general way of behaving, it probably won't work.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's move to your last choice.
All
what
right,
is it going to be?
last up, this one goes right back to one of my very earliest videos on the channel. I think back with misty eyes to the days when I started my grainy images on my channel.
Yes.
And it's Dunhill Icon from,
Oh,
as you can see, it's
love
got a
it.
bit of, yeah, 2015, bit of wear and
Mm-hmm.
tear on the lid there. And what a great release this was. It was Carlos Ben-Aim, the perfumer, who, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
wow, because he did 1978's Polo Green. He did that. And then here he is in 2015, still doing great fragrances. The great thing, I wish I'd got the 100 million away, but this is the fantastic bottle design from Dunhill. And they'd kind of had some pretty mediocre fragrances coming out for a few years, most people were saying. Very much a sort of English house who were, I think, you know, they made cigarettes mainly and smoking paraphernalia. I think they make watches too. So it's sort of an upscale thing. But yeah, different kind of, it's not a different kind of vibe. I think they make maybe bags, and I'm not sure if they make clothing too, but it's an interesting company. And yeah, this fragrance is really, really good. It's, again, got a fresh overall feel. I think we maybe could describe it as a woody aromatic, I think, officially. It's got, again, some very nice, pleasant, lemony bergamot notes in the opening. Lovely spicy pepper in this one. Quite a lot of vetiver, and definitely this kind of ISO-y super undertone, which is, people have compared this a little bit to Terre d'Hermes, which I can see that to an extent. It's a little bit like a cousin of Terre. It's like a really good Terre d'Hermes flanker, maybe. But it's yeah, it's got a spiciness, lovely kind of vetiver woody thing mixed with the citrus, which people will recognize maybe from Terre d'Hermes, but its own character, some lavender, this kind of barbershop feel. Classic, just clean, fresh. The bottle makes me like it even more. Very, very good all-rounder. Few flankers to this one. The gold one, Absolute, is also good. This has a note of oud, which absolutely no one will ever smell, but it's on the note listing. The Absolute gold one does have a bit of a Tom Ford oud wood type thing going on in there, quite pleasant too. But this is the smash hit for me, and I'd probably put this in a category where those 20-year-old, 21-year-old people probably could wear this. And it might not come off as mature as this. I don't know quite why, but what do you think about this one?
Love it, mate. Absolutely love it. I reviewed it back in 2017.
Yeah.
For me, it's a neroli and cardamom in the middle, which makes it just heaven. I can't describe to you how happy I feel when I wear Icon. I've recommended Icon to at least 24 people at work, every single one of them, obviously my age group, and a few youngsters as well, that come back and said their girlfriends, their wives were in love with them because the smell's so beautiful. It's fresh. The floral aspect, citrus floral, the neroli aspect, is what anchors the fragrance and keeps it very, very different than just a citrus vetiver fragrance. It's just amazing. The cardamom is beautiful. This is one of my absolute favorites, mate. Love it to bits. So I'm glad you picked it.
Yeah, it's superb, isn't it? And you're right. As I sniffed it, then I forgot the neroli. That you do get that, which is really, really nice. But it's not just one of those neroli eau de cologne things. But the way they've used it in here is so good.
Yeah.
And genius. Very, very, very classy stuff. Love it.
Yes, absolutely. And what are you wearing today? I forgot to ask you.
Today, have I sprayed anything at this point? I haven't sprayed anything because I was sunbathing in the garden. So all I've got on at the moment is the ones that I've just sprayed in this video. I'm gonna go. I haven't got it to hand, but I must admit that if the closest thing I have to a signature scent this year is Boucheron Pour Homme. A lot of my bottles are outrageously underused. That's actually got brilliant. So if I'm I don't know what to wear, I can't think. I've just, for some reason, it's often a cheapie because I think, oh, well, stupid because I could still use my creeds because I've got so many. But anyhow, I just reach for Boucheron Pour Homme, and so I'm going to wear that if I go out and do anything later on, just go to the shop. So yeah, that for me is a go-to, Boucheron Pour Homme.
I'm testing it at the moment because I want to review it. I'll show you. In honor of yourself, this is what I'm wearing today.
Essenza.
It is paradise. I put two under my shirt, two on my shirt. just before we, I think we were scheduled earlier, right? So about 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
3 o'clock, I put this on. Mate, you're absolutely right about this one. This is, my first experience with this was horrible. I tried it in January. Yeah, because it has gotten a neroli which has been done in the classical French style, which is bitter and carbolic. And my grandmother used to use those handmade soap, and she was a lovely, lovely lady. Used to love me to bits, but I didn't like her soap bars. And before eating, she would make me wash my hands, and that smell of carbolic neroli is what put me off when I first smelled this. But now I'm trying it. I mean, last year I got this last year, and I wore it through winter. I'm trying it now. Today I've got 4 sprays on. I'm in paradise. This fragrance smells absolutely amazing. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind why you love this so much, because wow. And there's a note of clove, I believe. I can't remember exactly the note breakdown.
That sounds familiar. Yeah, I think so.
I'm getting this beautiful sweet and bitter neroli with clove, which is anchoring this fragrance. It's an outstanding fragrance. Absolutely amazing. Full review coming soon, chaps.
I'll be very interested. I'll be interested to see your review. Yeah, I know we mentioned in the video you did on my channel that you love Intensa from them, so I'll be interested to see. Yeah, I think Essenza is just great. Yeah, as you say, good point that it's kind of there is a strange sweetness, not strange, but one that you wouldn't expect maybe.
Unexpected.
Sweetness, sweet and bitter and fresh all at once, and just I found that ladies tend to really think that's a very nice scent on a man. From my limited experience, but I've had good feedback on that one. Yeah,
I'll keep that in mind when I review it. So yeah, that was my scent. Now we've talked about fragrances. We have talked about your brands. There's something I know, and there's something you know. You do something that is quite attractive to women.
It didn't seem to work. It never. I swear, it never. I never got anywhere as a result of it in that department. But go on. Yeah.
Well, let's end the suspense. Let's show them the object of our discussion.
Oh, okay. I'll have to. You may have to fill here a bit. Okay.
Let
me grab it. I don't. I'm very reluctant to do this. I'll be right back.
Well.
While we wait for Mr. wearing shorts because I was in the car.
That is typical Mr. Smelly. Absolutely fantastic. So while we wait for Mr. Smelly to come back, I was speaking to him the other day, and I was speaking to him about what else does he do in his life, and he told me that he was a guitar teacher. So I said, all right, bring your guitar to our collaboration video. So I just wanted to see how good he is on a guitar. Let's see, because he was a teacher. And I think this is one fact that you guys probably are not aware of. And if you're aware of, oh boy, so he's actually pulling it out of a lot of stuff. I think it's not been used for a long time. Let's hope he's not rusty. But you guys, what do you think of this collaboration? What other collaboration you would like to see between me and Mr. Smelly? Do let us know in the comments, because I think this video is... here he is. Here he is. Wonderful.
Hang on.
Right.
Now, I didn't want to do this.
No. I know.
I couldn't even find a pick, actually, because I haven't played it in a while. So I've got a 5p coin, so this could be really bad.
Go on then.
So I used to be a guitar teacher, but I've since the lockdown, I wasn't doing it. Can you hear all right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So since the lockdown, the few that I was still doing a couple of days a week, that kind of ended that. So I had a few covers bands a few years ago, kind of doing kind of 80s rock. Really, I loved all that. So I used to be very into Jimi Hendrix and Led Zeppelin. But I also I really like hair metal from the 80s. I don't know what it is about it, but I like that kind of ironic testosterone fueled music. You know, after that, everything got a little bit more. There was grunge, and people got more clever with it. I like the sort of basic sexist lyrics and stuff of the side. Yeah, I don't condone. I just love all that kind of thing. But so I'm not going to play any. Yeah, I'm very out of practice. So I'll just do like a. You need to.
Not bad.
That's all. I haven't picked it up for ages. So yeah, listen, I'm not going to do anything fancy. There you go.
Well, this is just a start, right? We'll do more collabs. And...
well, we won't do any more guitar playing. I'll tell you that. No, I'm a ex-guitar teacher, and I can't say I'm massively into playing at all anymore. But yeah, it was a fun thing in my youth, definitely.
Dan, wait for the comments and then decide.
I tell you, anyone who thinks that you get loads of girls from doing it, you know, you might do, but if you're still sort of a bit shy and retiring and you're not out there, I suppose I wasn't out there playing in public as much as I should have been. But it does seem to be something that does attract people a little bit. But you know, I can genuinely tell you that I never attracted one single member of the opposite sex successfully due to my guitar playing. So yeah, there you go.
Would it be fair to say you did it for your own personal relaxation? This is how you relax.
Yeah, I guess I don't think I'd not relaxed because I wanted to be good at it. So I practiced a lot. So I wouldn't say it was relaxing. It was something for a while I was just heavily immersed in. And yeah, I tried to get good at it, but with like so many things in life, you can be quite good at something, but not good. You know, you might be the best footballer in your school. Probably doesn't mean that you're going to be good enough to go and play for Liverpool and become rich. And you still may end up driving a lorry for a living. So, you know, it's and I ended up teaching, which is great. But as they do say, those who can't do teach. Or, you know, if you can't do it to the great successful level, just kind of teaching kids and teenagers and stuff is a nice thing to do, but not quite the glamorous life I perhaps dreamt of. But that's c'est la vie. Things worked out all right in the end.
Exactly.
I prefer doing the YouTube fragrance channel now to doing that.
Indeed. And you just started a brand. Who knows? In a couple of years, you could be millionaires like Del Boy.
This time next year, Rodders will be millionaire. Yeah.
Exactly.
I think Trotter's independent trading is about where we've started from. Yeah. So we'll see. Yeah.
So how do you relax? What do you do? What's leisure?
Leisure, yeah, okay, interesting question. Maybe I'll ask you the same as well. But well, lockdown has been very has curtailed whatever one might do to a great extent. But lockdown has, of all the people in this country who've had a good lockdown, it suits me down to the ground because I'm very antisocial. So there were a lot of weeks where it hardly was any different to my normal life anyway. So obviously, I used to go to the pub a bit and stuff, but I was the kind of person I'm really quite antisocial. I'm really bad at keeping touch with old friends and stuff. So, you know, I lost touch with a lot of people that I used to be mates with, and they've all had, you know, they grow up and they have families and stuff. So I'm lousy at like making the effort to go and get the train into town and do the reunion. So I'm really bad. I haven't been going to the pub since the lockdown, but I would be quite happy to walk into a pub on my own and stand at the bar. I've done that many a time. And when I used to live in an area where I knew people, maybe whoever you knew, you would chat to a bit. So I used to like doing that. I do very much enjoy a few beers. I really like craft beers, and I actually like German lagers and stuff, which is not really craft beer, but good, not Stella, you know, like Warsteiner beer and stuff like that. I like a Duvel beer. So I'm very, I definitely drink more than you should do. But I'm at the point, as we were talking about earlier, I'm very much at the point in my life where it's not life-threateningly bad, and you've got to have some vice in your life. I don't smoke, I don't take drugs. So I'm just like, I enjoy it. I live on my own, so there's no one else to be annoyed about it. So I very much enjoy in the evening maybe having a few beers and watching a good series or something on YouTube or the Amazon Prime. I was watching The Bureau. I don't know if you've heard of it, a French one, a detective thing, The Bureau. someone got me into it. Really good. I got into Breaking Bad a couple of months ago. I don't know if you've seen that. I thought it was really good. So I'll just do that kind of stuff on my own. So I like. This doesn't sound good. I like drinking alone, watching a good movie or whatever. That's great. Now that lockdown's over, I'd love to get out there and socialize. Hopefully I will. So I love doing that. And I don't know if I like it, but I go running pretty much every day, quite a long way. And of course, when you're in your 40s and you like a beer, you kind of have to do that if you don't want to get chubby. So I pay a heavy price for my affinity for beer, and I go running quite a bit every day, quite a long way. And that's one of my other big hobbies. What else? Oh, I'm into watches now. Just got into collecting old watches. Vintage watches has become a passion in the last 6 months. I used to buy sort of ones that were sort of the cheap ones that look like a Rolex, but they're not. And they were, but now I've graduated to buying on eBay. It's a real minefield though, because obviously old watches are great. What I love is that they have character, and they're mechanical. They're not digital. It's not an iPhone or an iWatch. They are from the old century, the mid 20th century, and I find that really charming, and I love that. But of course, if you're buying them secondhand, most of them will not work perfectly, so you don't have to send them off to a skilled person. So it can be a little bit expensive. But that's my new thing. I actually spend more time watching people on YouTube now than I do fragrances. But it's good to have more than one interest, I think, so you don't get stale.
I think so, and that's very impressive. And I just want to make one point.
Yeah.
Do what you like. It's your life, buddy.
Yeah, that's it. What about you, though? No, that's it. Yeah. I'm lucky now, although I'm single and all that. Maybe that's not a good thing in some ways at the age of 40, where I don't have a family or kids. It does give me tremendous freedom to sort of pursue the things that I find entertaining without ever having to take anyone else into consideration, which at the moment is a nice feeling. But what about you, AC? What do you do? What hobby? Have you got any other hobbies? What do you do in your spare time?
Many, buddy. First of all, I live my life guilt-free. Whatever I do, I don't drink, I don't smoke. I used to smoke.
Oh, right. Okay.
Even now. My leisure activity primarily in summer has to be gardening. I have a huge garden and I love gardening. Green-fingered. I love growing fruits, vegetables, flowers.
Oh, great. Yeah.
I love nature, basically. It's my big thing.
Yeah.
So mostly I'm in the garden. Nowadays, lockdown, but we have a very punishing work schedule. I mentioned that in my last video. So on a weekday, my biggest relaxation is cooking. I love cooking, as you can see from my figure. I love eating as well.
You look fine. No, I don't think.
So, biryani is my main thing. The city that I was born in India is famous for biryani.
Biryani, yeah. Oh, nice, yeah.
I'll cook you one once you come down here, and you can enjoy. For me, it's cooking. On a weekday, I always cook fresh. It's my biggest relaxation. I love that's leisure for me. It's very sort of meditative for me. The other thing is, like you, I don't go running because I play summer sports. Every Saturday I'm out playing cricket or Sunday.
Oh, yeah, nice.
I'm playing at home because I hurt my ankle. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, well, of course, India, I mean, you guys, cricket is the sport, isn't it, in India? Yeah.
It is. And I was fortunate enough, like your guitar, I was a very outdoor person. I mean, I used to be a motorcyclist. I've stopped that. I sold my motorcycle back in 2016, 2017.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah.
So I might start that again. I was not using it much, but I'm a sporty guy. So I play first 11 cricket, still play first 11 cricket.
Oh, great.
Yeah. It's my biggest pleasure.
What team or club are you in? Could you tell us?
So, of course. I used to play for a local club called Go Taker. I've given up because during the lockdown, we were having issues with getting games. So this year, I think I'll join Swindon. I don't know. I might play for some other club. There's a friend of mine who plays for Marlborough. I might go and play for them. I don't know.
Are you a bowler, a batsman, or an all-rounder?
I'm a batsman.
Yeah. That's the more fun part, I think. Yeah.
It's not fun in England, I tell you. I'm a top order bat, so I open the batting. So if it's overcast and the ball's moving about, it's not leisure. It's not leisure, I can tell
It's
you that.
dangerous. Yeah, I hope you've got a good hat. Yeah, it's very
I've got
dangerous.
a,
Yeah.
I've got a very strong side.
Oh wow. Yeah, yeah. I wouldn't
Because,
fancy that. No. Yeah.
yeah, so that's leisure for me. And reading is my biggest passion. I'm
Oh
not
right.
watching, I'm not into television. I don't watch any other YouTube videos.
Yeah.
But big deal for me is books. I love reading.
Yeah.
And as I said, I don't drink. So my leisure is definitely a good book and a good meal.
That's good. Yeah, you got to have stuff that you look forward to each day, and if it's your, you
Absolutely.
enjoy the meal or whatever. But I guess in India, the English addition to your great culinary tradition, of course, which everyone in Britain loves curry. But I
Uh,
imagine that in your country, it doesn't necessarily have to be accompanied by 6 pints of lager. That's a unique English twist, I would imagine. Yeah.
the thing
Um,
is, the thing is, in India, people are used to eating hot food, and I
yes.
understand that to numb the hotness of the food, that's why the English go for the pints of beer
It
to
is
just numb
great.
it.
Yeah, yeah, it is great.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
I
food
I
is
love hot food. I love curry as well, but I find that I can eat a really hot curry, but I would never like eat one on a date or something because I start sweating and yeah, I go really red. I like the taste, but yeah, I have to be careful.
so. What's the hottest you'll go for? Would you go for a vindaloo
Oh,
or a fowl?
I love when I've had a vindaloo. I did like it, but I think I have to sort of eat it at home, because it really does make me go red and start sweating. So I would probably, it's not hot stuff. It'd be more like I'd order a Danzak or something like that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
the Balti can be very nice too.
Poultry is very
But
nice.
like, what I don't know is how much what we're served in Indian restaurants is really what you guys would cook at home. Probably not so much. Don't
Not
know.
even close. Not even close.
No.
It's completely different. I mean, I'm from the north of India, so
Yeah.
north of India is very aromatic, and
Right.
here the emphasis is on sauces, base sauce. So if you order a vindaloo or a gansak, it's a
Yeah.
base sauce with the flavor being very little difference between those two.
Yeah.
So I'll cook you some authentic stuff, and then
All
I think
right.
really it's not necessarily hot, but it's very
Yeah.
aromatic. It's
That's good. Yeah. Yeah.
that's the thing about the food from the north of India. It's very aromatic. It can be hot, depends on which area
Mm.
you're going and visiting. But
Yeah.
most emphasis is on contrast of flavors and aroma. It's North Indian food is all about that, especially
Mm.
Mughlai food. The tandoori is a North Indian food. Biryani, the pulao, they are all aromatic, and
Mm.
there's contrast. They're sweet, sour, hot, and then rice. It's
Yeah.
just amazing. It's very scientific. It's very different to what is served here. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll
I
sort
kind
that
of
problem
gathered.
out.
I, yeah, I'd love to. I've never had it cooked from a normal person. It's always been from a restaurant, so I'm sure I've missed out on the real thing. But
You
yeah, it's
are,
definitely. I know that it's like hugely rich and varied tradition that probably most of us who just like a good tikka masala have very little understanding of. Yeah. Oh, I just wanted the one other thing. My other little hobby is I do enjoy following the football.
ah,
So I support Tottenham,
oh,
the sort of underachieving club of London, and but that's I quite often, if I'm going for a run or whatever, I'll have the podcast of people taking apart the latest catastrophic defeat or something kind of therapeutic about that. So I enjoy following the football, although I haven't played for many years. So unlike you, you like the cricket, but I never could get into cricket at all. I'm afraid.
no,
Yeah, I
not
used
even
to
in
be.
school.
No, well, football was just the thing that everyone, as football is the bigger sport here. So that was what
Yes.
everyone played and what we were most excited about. But I definitely remember the day when it was summer and my group of friends that I played football with decided that they were going to play cricket instead. I was, with a tennis ball or whatever down the local park. I was absolutely furious. I was so disappointed because I was a very much I hated rugby. That was a tough sport, posh public school sport to me. I never liked that. So I was very much football or nothing, I'm afraid.
So why Tottenham? Were you born there?
No, well, no, but I'm from Barnet, which is North London, so
Yeah.
it's not a million miles away. So people, if they lived in Barnet, which is a sort of rather
Yes.
dull suburb of the very northern tip of London, it's kind of Hertfordshire, really. You would either probably support Tottenham or Arsenal from that part of the world, although there is a Barnet Football Club, but not so fun. When I was growing up, of course, all the kids, half of them supported Liverpool because that was the most successful team. So they were just
80s.
glory hunt. They were glory hunters, and
Yes.
I was a mini glory hunter because, believe it or not, when I was picking my team in about 1984, Spurs were the glamorous team, and they had some really good glamorous players like Glenn Hoddle and Ozzy Ardiles. So it was the most exciting team in London, and they had been recently at that time quite successful. And I think there was just one season when I was just at the right age to properly get into it, that they were top of the league for a while. So I stupidly picked them thinking this could be a happy life of glory. And they never won the league that season, and they've won very little since. But yeah, it was just the exciting team back then. But
wonderful.
And you can't change horses, so I had to stick with it after that.
Can you not change horses?
Well, I think it's I know people I think if you're 6 or 7, maybe. I think that the year before that, I was calling myself a Liverpool fan, but that was only because the other kids, the toughest, the leader of the gang in the playground said you have to support Liverpool to be in our gang. I changed at about the age of 7 or 8, but much older than that. If you change, I think I knew a few people who used to support Spurs and swapped to support Arsenal in their teens. And that is dishonourable. You cannot do that. You've got to stick with it.
So I think that's a fantastic, interview or a collaboration. We got to know so much about you. I think both your subscribers and my subscribers are going to relish this. It's a long video.
So yeah.
I do apologize if it's not in your scheme of things, but we talked about so much stuff. I think this was great entertainment value. So
thanks. Yeah, thanks for being a great host. And I'll get you back on because I didn't get so much out of you about yourself. I stuck to the fragrance stuff, but you've twisted my arm here to reveal a bit more than I normally do. So I think I'd love to do the same with you. And go on, yeah.
I think what we've got from you today is going to be very interesting to a lot of people. So you've done so many things in your life, but you're so modest that you never speak about them. It was great to have you. I think it's going to be absolute fun for people to watch. And I'm surrendering. Whenever you want me, I'll be there. So.
All right, we'll think of a fun video theme, and we'll get you back on and do. Yeah, I'll get a bit more about your life story. I think, yeah.
Absolutely. And thank you for being here, mate. And thank you for making your time available. It's brilliant. Really enjoyed it.
Pleasure. It's been a great pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Take care.